Welcome to your daily dose of theological German. We are continuing our way through an essay by Paul Tillich that comes out of his book, The Religious Substance of Culture. In these episodes, I've been doing more than one sentence often because we're in an introductory paragraph and many of these sentences are short and the syntax is not too complicated, and so we can just cover more territory and get through more kind of context and just hopefully get through more of the article in the 15 episodes that I plan to devote to this work. So let's hop to it. The opposite perspective, point of view, standpoint actually is the English cognate to this word, Standpunkte. The opposite standpoints or perspectives are errors. And you'll recall from yesterday's video that what we're talking about here is how in the scientific worldview, with the progress of science, there are determinations made about what is true about the world that corresponds to some kind of absolute reality. And whatever opposing perspectives may have existed prior to those scientific determinations are therefore errors. So in this case, things like the world being a flat disk on water is an error once science has determined that it's actually a sphere floating in space. It has still not determined, it here being from last time, the progress of scientific empiricism, it has still not determined who the author of the letter to the Hebrews is. There's something interesting here about this construction. The way I translated that, it just actually flows literally the same word order in English, and it's fine, except if you were to write this way in English, you might be kind of coached by somebody that it's poor grammar to put is at the end of a sentence, to finish a sentence with is in English. You're not supposed to do that. And yet, you can see why we do it all the time in English, especially in spoken English. We make this so-called mistake in our grammar, and you can see that that shows you how closely related English and German actually are, and that there are many things in German syntax that are intuitive to English language users, as long as you are prepared to think of English constructions that we might make that aren't totally correct, whatever that even means. But anyways, in this case, it's perfectly correct in German, and it's a very straightforward sentence. Of or from the variety or various assumptions. Now here, I would almost just say assumed as opposed to assumptions, and this is kind of, you've got to fill it in from the previous sentence with the context. You're talking about assumed authors. So different theories assume different authors for the letter to the Hebrews. And so here, reflecting on this kind of the way scientific knowledge and advancement works, that truth in some sense corresponds to an absolute reality, Tillich is basically saying, you know, even though scientific advancement has not yet made a determination in terms of who the author of the letter to the Hebrews is, nevertheless, you know that it's going to be one of the assumed authors or none of them that's correct, because this is how this type of knowledge works. And so that's what the rest of the sentence says. Of the various assumed authors, one or none is correct.